Hey everybody, my name is Russ. That is Lauren, and we've got a doozy for today's
yeah, we do.
Today's vinyl video. We always talk about the main stuff that we feel is important in a vinyl release video, like a review video. So we will get to stuff involving like the packaging, the sound, the price, and the value. So at some point during the video, we will tell you what we got, what we paid for this, which I think was a ridiculously good deal. But we got the Spanish language, Spanish titled, everything Spanish version of David Lee Roth's, technically his first solo record. There's Crazy from the Heat is an EP. This is his first solo album. But yeah, it's Eat 'Em and Smile with David Lee Roth. It's a thing of legend. I know people that are like, I heard that there was, nope, it exists. Like it absolutely,
it's great.
It absolutely exists. And it is awesome. And I don't think we picked this up at a record fair at Jacksonville. I don't want to get into the price just yet, but we picked it up at a record fair. And I think when I showed it to you, I don't think you'd ever seen it before. Like I was like this and you were like, I know. And I was like, no, look.
Yeah.
And then I think at first, which is understandable, I think at first you were like, oh, neat, it's in Spanish. And I was like, no, the whole album is though. And you were like, do what now? Yeah. So if you've ever even seen the cover or heard of it, like, it's not just the song titles are in Spanish, the packaging in Spanish. David and all the background vocals and everything, the entire record is sang in Spanish.
Yeah.
And it sounds awesome. So we'll go through the things that we usually go through, and there's going to be pictures of the whole thing thrown up on the video throughout the whole video. So whatever you're looking for, we'll have it on here. Packaging wise, I mean, it looks exactly like Eat 'Em and Smile.
But in Spanish.
Yeah. And another thing I like though, is that like all the liner notes and everything are too like, well, because they could have cheaped out at that point.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they
yeah,
could have
yeah.
just been like, whatever.
No, they went all in.
But I like if you're gonna, this to me in no way feels like it's like pandering to people. Like, I just think that this was like hey, we're going to David Lee Roth does nothing in half measures, you know? And good or bad, for good or for bad.
Yep.
David Lee Roth does nothing. It's like, I'm going to ride a microphone on the 1984 tour. What size? Normal size? No, I want it to be giant. You know what I mean? Like Dave doesn't do anything half-assed. And but I like though that the expectation isn't just, oh well, I'm going to sing in your language, but I'm like, here's an inner with the English lyrics. Like, nope, here's your language. In the inners, I may be making too big of a deal of that, but I just, to me, even in the inner labels on the record, I expected the English to be there. Not, and I want to be clear, it wasn't like North American guy expects the world to revolve around him. It's not that. It's record label level. I expected them to be like, yeah, but really though,
For sure.
you know, sound wise, I mean, it's exactly the same record, which is a really underrated. I think. See, Lauren. You grew up on Sammy.
I did.
Don't shoot. Just listen. She grew up on Sammy era David Lee Roth, Sammy era Van Halen. Mm-hmm. And I don't think whenever I brought up David Lee Roth, I don't think you were ever just like, F Dave. Like, well, because a lot of people are, and a lot of people with Dave fans hate Sammy and so on. But you were just kind of like, yeah, well, I don't know. You're like, yep, I've heard Jump like everybody else, but like we were Agar household, you know? So I was telling you, like, way before you had heard of this Eat 'Em and Smile thing, I was like, you know, there's so much showmanship and flash and intelligence in what David Lee Roth does that a lot of people don't know. And when you started looking at it from that angle, you were like, there is a lot more than jump splits here, right?
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
Especially him as a showman.
Yeah.
And like in our house, we don't, if Jump comes on in public or is on the radio or anything, both of us will stop and put the Tokyo version on just because of Dave's vocal on that. It's like how we have to sing
do
that.
it.
So when you first heard Eat 'Em and Smile, I don't even think you realized like, oh, Dave's solo stuff sounds great. Like sonically, because we know, I mean, the band, and I don't think you knew at the time, but like Greg Bissonette, Billy Sheehan, Steve Vai, like, am I naming all stars in the history of rock and roll? Yes, but also the guys who played on this record.
Yep.
And then you have Ted Templeton producing it. So if you like the first, the sound of the first 6 Van Halen records,
there you go.
Here's another one.
Yep.
Right. But there are other folks I've heard with like drop-in vocals and things where it does not sound good. The one that always comes to front of mind for me is there's a Pink Floyd song where in the chorus of the song is F all that. And it was released as a single off of that record, and it has the world's worst dropped in vocal ever. And they changed F to stuff. But, and I'm okay with that from trying to get the song on the radio, but it sounds like I copied and pasted it like at 7 years old. Like it's a really bad copy and paste
with
job.
actual tape.
Yeah. And so I was worried that like Dave's vocals in this would be like obviously.
Oh no.
No. And
it's not.
It sounds exactly like Eat 'em and Smile sounds, but in Spanish.
Right.
Which my number one concern was, I was like, this is going to be glaring. Like not the language, but how it was recorded.
Right.
You know, and nope. It sounds exactly as good as Eat 'em and Smile does, but just with the
added bonus of being in Spanish.
With the added bonus of it being in Spanish, and there's just certain words in the album that I was totally waiting to happen, and then when they do, you're just like, get it, Dave.
I mean, I love Yankee Rose in Spanish.
Oh,
I think I like it almost more than Yankee Rose.
So, and then here's these two things kind of go together always. Price, we got a deal on this. I don't know why, but the people at the record booth had this priced at $35, which if you're a fan of this, or you've been looking for this, you collect it, you want to know what it's worth, it is not worth $35. It is worth a lot more than $35.
I remember we were there because this was one of the many record fairs that we go to in breweries, right? And I literally remember the moment because I'm sitting at a table just, drinking my beer, looking at the stuff that I bought. And you came in and you're like, I can't believe this happened. Yeah. And I'm like, what happened? And you pull it out and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And it looked in awesome shape, but I was like, we're going to get home. And this is going to have I don't know, the instrumental version of the album or something. Like there's something wrong with this.
Yeah.
Like, nope. Yeah. Like, nope. But then that's when you get into value though, you get into cause this is usually $150 record. And I don't want to, how do I say this not disrespectfully toward the music? I was going to use the phrase for the joke of it, but in many ways it's not a joke. For $35, there's all the value in the world.
Absolutely.
For me to own this. But actually, if I had known that you would end up liking, I think Going Crazy is way better in Spanish.
God, I know.
It's so good. And then you said Yankee Rose.
Janky Rose.
I would probably pay up to $100.
I mean, you were saying the joke of it, and coming from the space that I come from, the novelty of it is what you're looking for, right? Well, okay. My thing is this. So if you have a pristine copy of Eat 'em and Smile and a pristine copy of this, how many times you're going to flip flop? I would argue you and I are going to listen to this one more than absolutely. Absolutely.
I kid you not. I'm we're going to make dinner soon. I'm going to probably throw that on. I'm probably pretty sure I'm going to throw that on. But yeah, so the value in it really comes down to, value, it's always a beauty is in the eye thing, right? Here's my thing with copying, and you do you, Godspeed, everybody do what you want, but I don't buy anything to not listen to. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to buy this just to frame it or never listen to it, which collectors do, and go, I just want to own that. I would rather you leave it out in the wild for someone who's going to play it. Like the copy that we got, I'm glad we got it so that we know we're going to play it regularly.
It went to a good home.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I put up a bunch of pictures, as we always do throughout the whole thing to share with you what it is we've been talking about.
Good.
But we also went on a great deal about the stuff that we think about the record and Dave and stuff. I'm sure if you're watching this and you've been on YouTube any amount of time, you always hear make sure to hit the like button. YouTube cares more about interaction and we care more about meaningful interaction. I do not want bots leaving stuff on the channel. I want a David Lee Roth fan or a Billy Sheehan fan or a Van Halen fan or whatever leaving comments. And then we would love to have a discussion with y'all. And by all means, drop comments for Lauren too and be like, hey, if you like this by Dave, try this. Because she's literally new to the world of David Lee Roth. So she's liked everything she's heard so far because I say this in almost every video we talk about David Lee Roth. And one of the things I told you is I used to work with a guy who opened the doors to David Lee Roth world for me when he said, David Lee Roth cares if he's entertained and maybe you. And if you can look at it that way, when you're entertained by David Lee Roth, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But then, you might spend the rest of the time being like, he's going too far there.
Yep.
But
it's fine.
So anyways, if you would please, you always hear, drop a like on the video. That helps the channel grow. But we care more about the interaction. So if you have any questions on this, anything you have to say on it, by all means, drop a comment. That is Lauren. My name is Russ. We have vinyl videos every single Sunday. Thank you so much for watching.